WTVJ, Channel 4, Miami,
Fort Lauderdale.
This
This is News 4, right, 3 p.m. with Bob Mayer, Bob Weaver and Tony Segredo Sports. Now, News 4 at 5:30. Good evening, everybody, on this Wednesday, July 3rd, 1986. I'm Bob Mayer, and this is what's happening on News 4 at 5:30 p.m. Top story at 5:30 p.m. is in Southern Air Transport, a Miami cargo carrier that was owned outright by the CIA for 13 years, plans to purchase $82.5 million worth of Lockheed Hercules aircraft ordered Europe for government incursions into Central America, according to CIA observers. Victor Machete, a former CIA officer and an officer of the CIA and the Code of Intelligence, said Sovereign's announcements 2 weeks ago of the planned purchase of 12 airplanes known in the military as the C-120 Hercules suggests that the CIA is getting very active in Central America, particularly those to Nicaragua, and that Southern Air is going to be of value. The whole purpose of Southern Air, Machete said, was according to I've been told, as in their capacity of the Caribbean and Central America to be able to provide black air activities for the CIA to those areas. Machete told it his knowledge of it as the airline comes from a service on the secret executive committee and the Air Masters for the CIA. Machete said he believes that Southern Air is expanding because Nicaragua is going to be there, no doubt about it. Reagan will not leave the White House with Nicaragua standing. The Corsair, the Drake, the Crescent, the Beachfield. These are the other hotels and apartment buildings have been closed down, and their tenants evicted in a crackdown on a building code violations that Miami Beach City Manager Rob Parkins and other city officials says it's part of a master plan to boost land values and rid South Beach of its drug dealers and undesirables. In the past 13 months, Miami Beach Development Services Division has closed 26 buildings for building code violations and displaced 900 residents, mostly poor and nearly a third elderly. We are getting calls from people who told us they bought and rehabilitated South Beach buildings and next door where the drug houses were to decrease their property values. Parkins said that the orchestra crackdown began in the summer of 1984, where the city began to coordinate data on frequent police calls with the building code inspections. A year later, the closings began. Prior to June 1985, the city closed no more than 3 properties a year, said Hunter Men Services specialist Riley Dunleavy. Some of the closed residents were hotbeds of criminal activity, police spokesman said. With Howard Selfman. Zeifman cited the Drake Hotel, 1460 Ocean Drive as an example, and he said that during 1985 there were 48 reported crimes, 59 disturbances, and 29 police-related incidents.
Lightning. Oh, such a dangerous thing to be out there with. Whatever.
Space Center in Houston, the Challenger astronauts probably would not have survived even if the space shuttle has been equipped with an escape system, NASA experts say. I doubt very seriously that a bailout system would be having any chance to work, in Tommy W. Holloway, chief of the Johnson Space Center Flight Director's Office, said yesterday. Flight Director John Cox said that it is survival. Chances with parachutes would have been inoperable as NASA intelligence, and said that he believes that at least some the astronauts were alive and perhaps even conscious after the January 20th explosion that ripped the shuttle apart. Holloway, Cox, and others said that the crew compartments probably was tumbled and twisted and it fell on 12 miles under the ocean surface and out of the explosion. The 7 astronauts would have been thrown angrily about the craft that they had unstrapped to the seats, they said. Also, it's unlikely, they said, that the cable lost pressure, causing the astronauts to pass out within seconds, although they could have still have been alive throughout the long fall. In related developments, President Reagan is weighing on advice to delay seeking money on the new space shuttle while moving ahead with the construction of manned rockets as the first step toward the rebuilding the nation's battered space program. Reagan met with the top advisors on the space policy yesterday to hear final arguments on whether to buy out a replacement for the Challenger, whether they build a new replacement of the Challenger space shuttle, and how to pay for it. President spokesman Larry Speake said Reagan would make a decision within several days. For years, the gay men and women who have been coming to Reverend Carl Morrison feeling not outcasts, unwanted by the church in which they have placed their faith solely because of their sexual orientations. Because of the new ministry established by the Catholic Archdiocese of Miami, Morrison now says that he has the opportunity to help bring scores of spurned homosexual Catholics back to church. Last month, Archbishop Edward A. McCarthy joined a number of church officials in other cities who are reaching out to the gay Catholics. They established a ministry to help cancel Catholic bisexuals as part of the new ministry. McCarthy appointed the Reverend Jorge Sardinas, a minister at the Fort Lauderdale International University at Tamanac campus as chaplain to Hispanic bisexual minorities, said Archdiocese spokesman Marjorie Donahue, appointment of the chaplain for the English-speaking Catholics, now homosexuals, as well as all of our appointments. Are forthcoming, and Morrison said he wouldn't be involved in creating some of those ministries and new programs, as well as the equipment personnel for the programs. For the past 4 years, Morrison has volunteered in his time in an unofficial church council to about 40 members of the local branch of Dignity, a national group of homosexual Catholics in which state and in touch with the faith. Morrison hopes that the ministry will be in full operation by the end of the year. Morrison says that in the Catholic bishops and issued a statement in 1978 condemning in Austin a Texas oilman, a West Texas oilman who has unsuccessful searches for Noah's Ark, and the Loch Ness Monster says he now plans to retrieve artifacts from the Titanic. There seems to be plenty of debris in fields to keep you busy with the whole summer picking throughout them, said Jack Grimm, 61, who has said he plans to go with the French Navy next summer on a submarine visit to the Sunken Wreck in the North Atlantic. Officials at Woods Hole organization
Business is a better deal.
Chanel Government Institute of Massachusetts, which conducted a recent expedition to Titanic, not been heard of any French plans to visit a sunken luxury liner. Grimm, founder of a Grimm Oil Company, claims that the U.S. French team discovered the Titanic wreckage last September, where aided by 4-year-old videotapes that the crew had made a popular rebel during the search for the ship.
Economic proposals and keep the pressure on Republicans in Congress. Karen Travers,
With old spokeswoman Ann Rabaska said institution scientists did not use Grimm's information and that this propeller turned out to be a rock far north of the area where the ship was found. The oilman said he had asked the U.S. Navy to give him couples of the videotapes made during the 2-week expedition early this month.
9,000 people have donated.
The Cape Flyer could be sticking around longer than expected.
Former Sweetwater Police
Service got
Officer Manuel Prado, already charged with 7 murders, police say, where drug-related has been linked by a police informant to 2 more killings, according to an affidavit recently unsealed in the Dade Circuit Court. Prado, 29, of 6555 West 20th Drive, was indicted June 10th, along with Rolando Garcia, 23, of 8181 Northwest South River Drive, on 7 counts of first-degree murder, several weapons charges, and grand theft. The affidavit filed by Hialeah Police Department Detective Emil Flutie is in support of a request for a search warrant on Prado's home and may have sourced an informant linked to Prado and the April deaths of Sarah Massa and Fire Quintero, who said found deaths for the multiple 22 caliber gunshot wounds in an apartment at 1305 West 46th Street in Hialeah. Prado has not been charged with the deaths, and no one was on duty, and the Hialeah Police Department said last night that could say whether anyone has been ever charged in connection with the deaths of Mesa and Quintero. According to affidavit, a source contacted Hialeah police officer Jorge Gonzalez shortly after the women's deaths and asked him whether either of the women had recently had an abortion. When Gonzalez said yes, the source advised that the statement of him or he or she claimed to have information about the homicides and
San Diego's mayor embroiled in
asking an interview by homicide detectives, according to affidavit. The source claimed to be worked for Prado and Garcia in a drug business for several months, and claimed to have seen the photograph of Fire Quintero in Prado's apartment with the newspaper articles about the other killings, according to the affidavit. Among the items seized from the Prado's home was a number of weapons, including a 30 caliber carbine, a Mauer 30.06 rifle with a scope, a Master 7mm, an 8mm Commando Mark III, 45 caliber weapon, a Mossberg 12 gauge shotgun, a homemade gun wrapped in black electrical tape, a 32 caliber revolver of an unknown make, of silver boxes of 5 ammunition, a set of brass knuckles, according to an inventory settled in court documents. Also confiscated a warranty card and then purchased receipt for the usually an Israeli-made 9mm machine gun purchased from Firearms International. The gun was not found. Police also seized a video cassette of Miami Vice, a Sweetwater Police badge, and an identification card of Florida Hawaii Patrol Trooper badge, a 1986 diary, newspaper clippings, and a Colombian driver's license. Documents showed both Prado and Garcia were charged in the April 23rd deaths of Ramon Alvaro Cruz, 40, described by police as a semi-drug kingpin in South Florida, and Cruz's girlfriend. Daily record 37 for 26 killings of Luis Roberto and Gilpino Leto, the 22nd shooting and deaths of Mario Amador and Roberto Alfonso, said the 29th killing of Michael G. Millet, age 42. According to statement by Metro Detective Ted McCarthy, which was included in the court file, Millet was killed in 1904. Honda belonged to Prado. Milk car first said an informant told police that Millet was killed because Prado and Garcia found out that he was a federal informant. McCarthy said police checked in the informant's statement and discovered that a car had been taken as upholstered 2 days after Millet's death and then taken his bloody states. Repulsed and some bullet holes that repaired. The court documents showed Prado, a former Florida Highway Patrol officer, was fired from the Sweetwater Police Department in Jennifer contacted and becoming a police officer. His supervisor charged Prado with linked to a Bahamian 4 days of work, prosecution of another former Sweetwater officer, Sergeant Robert O'Connor, on drug smuggling charges. They said the Prado testified that Actina's trial had any unauthorized Actina's activities and as part of an international drug investigation.
You could be all.
A state appeals court upheld a jury verdict ordering the state of Florida to pay $586,500 to a woman injured in a 75 auto accident in Kendall. An opinion filed yesterday, the 3rd District Court of Appeals ruled the state should pay damages because the accident probably was caused by the negligence of the highway patrol officer. Oh, good lord! Said Suzanne Mill, who represented the opinion. Mill, 26, and former Miami, who lives in Tampa, said her lawsuit that she was struck by a pickup during an accident investigation because Trooper James Tuff felt for oncoming traffic around the scene. Mill said the blow fractured her pelvis and her skull, while the tendons in her left knee and caused a permanent hearing loss in her left ear. She said her slightly quickened smile attests to a recovery of only half of the nerve function on the left side of her face. Mill said the accident robbed her of her plans for a modeling career and gave up her preparation for that.
Wiener should drop out of the race.
San Diego's mayor.
According to the trial testimony, cited by the appeal court opinion, Miller and friend were driving to West on Kendall Drive 11 p.m. on December 29, 1978 when she was struck by a car at the intersection of Southwest 107th Avenue. The other car fled and leaving in Miller's car straddling into Williams westbound traffic. The opinion and said Miller and witnesses flagged down the car who turned on the flashing lights of the patrol car and left it on the eastbound side of the street opposite Miller's car. While Miller was standing next to her car, she was hit by a pickup driven by Thomas Bohannon. Bohannon says it was too dark to use see Miller and was distracted by the lights of the patrol car. An original trial expert testified the troopers should have placed the flares in the road. The trial jury found the state 85% negligent and Miller 15% negligent. In yesterday's opinion, the appellate court rejected the state's cause of the sovereign immunity. The state is not immune to the opinion stamp because there is negligence of car safety period.
Communications director is suing.
Procedure says Miller's lawyer, Robert E. Plus the car was dismissed from the suit and there was a small out-of-court settlement with the driver of the pickup. William H. Peoples, a private attorney who represented the state, said government immunity is being
required by his work. This is really stuff he should.
Heralded by the case of Miller, and he believes that the state will seriously consider appealing to that decision at the time of this accident. State law imposing $50,000 cap in state payments of damage awards, but Pezza said that if Miller emerges victorious from the appeals process, she could recover from almost a final claims bill to the legislature. Miller said he should also use the part of a damage awards to start her own metalworking shop. Miller said that after spending 2 years after asking the recluse, she took up a metalwork and married a man she met on her job. Considering extended damage, Miller said, I came out pretty well. Despite arrests here of 2 Boy Scout leaders in 13 months on charges of child molestation and executive of the Boy Scouts, Regional Council says there are no plans to change the method which volunteers are chosen.
It's just over a week.
Tim Rose, director of the Field Service of the South Florida's Council of the Boy Scouts in America, said the selection process already. In the hands of the most qualified parents of the Scouts in each trip's sponsored organization. We have to rely on leadership at the local level, Rose said. Parents have a very vested interest and are very concerned, he added. Rose's comments yesterday came one day after Miami police arrested former troop leader David Axe, 30, and charged him with molesting 2 former Scouts in a separate instance over a 3-year period. Atkins was charged with 3 counts of sexual battery and 2 counts of lewd and luscious behavior. In my fact, the allegations are correct. The council's statement said, we regret very much with an isolated instance and they're affecting young men in our facilities. And a parent statement was noted that Allen was from affiliation with a scandal in 1983 after an investigation as innocent and unrelated to charges filed this week. Was said that the South Florida Council has neither the staff or defendant in to perform background checks and volunteers. We are not a law enforcement agency, he said, and once you get doing something like then you start getting into all kinds of problems. No one to a leader can just volunteer and be accepted at face value. Someone else involved in a unit has signed the form and allow them to be involved. Some leaders and assistants must be 21 years old and required to be a U.S. citizen and must be professed a belief for God to be a high moral character. Rose said volunteers are registered formally with a Scout organization. If that registration is voted, then volunteers cannot work for a Soviet Scout troops or Scout organization anywhere in the country, Rose said. Rose and Miami Police and Aiken lost his registration for in 1983 investigation by John Mello, then director of the Field Service of the Council of Scouting Aiken troop, allegedly had complained to his mother that Aiken had robbed omnipotent as his genitals during a camping trip, police said, but no charges were found. The charges faced by Aikens stem from incidents that allegedly took place during 1980, 81, and 83, police said. Police identified the two teenagers who filed the complaints against Aikens in June that led to the arrest this week. According to Aikens, the second county volunteer to be arrested on molestation charges in Dade County.
Create a place of true relationship
During a period of over a year, the first Shepard was a period of about a year.
for a limited time.
First, Steph Schiller was sentenced to a year in prison after he pleaded guilty and made one count of sexual battery on a
Mattress professional.
minor and 2 counts of lewd and left vicious assault, including he must serve as a minimum of 25 years in prison before becoming eligible for parole.
Kansas City.
5 highwaymen were arrested after they tried to buy what they were told about truckloads of stolen televisions and video cassette recorders, according to FBI spokesman Paul Miller. The sting, which involved an FBI and Hialeah and Metro Police Department's effort to reduce cargo thefts in South Florida. Miller said police began their investigation after an informant told them that Roger Fernandez, 25 men, approached him after buying a load of electronic equipment. The FBI said it was
Again today, a New York State
arrested.
appeals upheld a lower court.
Fernandez yesterday and 4 men were unloading $250,000 worth of stolen Magnavox TVs and VCRs at Hialeah business. Also arrested are Mario Delgado, 43, Jamie Lopez, 26, Angel Pettit, 44, and Francisco Pascual, 44. All of them were charged with comparing to violate federal theft from interstate shipping laws.
Now, where a young girl has died after having an allergic reaction to
A Dade County grand jury has returned first-degree murder indictment against 2 men accused of July 10th stabbing of us. So, they couple of death. Bernardo and Teresa Rodriguez and the run to their 11-year-old daughter, Artemia Henry Espinosa, 29, and Mauricio Beltran, 26, were indicted yesterday.
she went into cardiac arrest.
They on 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of each attempted first-degree murder, armed burglary and armed robbery. Police said they believe the killings, which occurred in the Rodriguez home at 9357 Southwest 36th Street, were drug-related. Dennis Rodriguez is listed in fair condition at AMI Regional Medical Center in Kendall, where she is recovering from her stab wound. Her 12-year-old sister, Ardenne, was not unharmed.
Facing charges.
Voter registration for the September 2nd primary election and the September 3rd runoff election will be closed at 5 p.m. Saturday. As American citizens who are permanent residents of Dade County who are past their 18th birthdays may only vote. For more information, call 375-4600. An inmate
Was discovered.
who tested positive to 85 and admitted jail guard was acquitted of an attempted murder charge but convicted of 3 lesser counts in Florida count.
Had not even drive.
In Fort Lauderdale, Kelly Dobbins, 26, of San Francisco, was found innocent.
This was the third instance.
Yesterday, he attempted third-degree murder of a Broward County deputy, but was convicted of felony battery on a law enforcement officer and a misdemeanor count of assault and resistance with violence. Circuit Judge Alfred Friends has said since the next Monday, Associated Press reported Dobbins has tested positive for antibodies that are deadly acquired immune deficiency syndrome. About here, no shown symptoms of disease, according to Broward State Attorney's Office spokesman Dave Casey.
Statue outside the Smithsonian headquarters on the National Mall, but police believe.
The High-Speed Rail Transportation Commission meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the County Commission Chamber, Metro Dade Center, 111 Northwest 1st Street. Officials expect to present resolutions as billboard for $2 billion and a $4 billion high-speed train will be funded by the private sector. Democratic controlled candidate Steve Patrick said repeat felony offenders should have their movements monitored and have recorded undergo drug testing after release from prison. Once they got out, we need to keep close surveillance on them and make sure to remain drug-free. Patrick said yesterday that candidates' remarks came during the Miami stop to discuss career criminals with a Metro Police unit that specialized in the problem that had the unit. Sergeant Tom Blake told Patrick he believes that many, 95% of all robbers and burglars who randomly chose victims as their drug dealer users. As Blake also noted that repeat offenders all travel all over South Florida, making it difficult to one police department over the how to follow career criminal activities.
For the month.
Cheryl Kaiser, a Miami lawyer specializing in immigration matters, has been sentenced to a 6-year prison term and paid $25,000 fine after his conviction charges of aiding income tax and committing wire fraud. The documents against Kaiser charged him with trying to defraud dozens of lawyers throughout the scheme to sell partnerships in Kaiser's New York-based law firm. According to the documents, a 50-year-old Kaiser accepted fees from lawyers across the country but failed to provide services to so-called resident partners at the sentencing yesterday before a U.S. District Court judge. Sitting out in Miami, Kaiser maintained he had no bad intention to continue to accept money from unsuspecting partners from his firm. He can't fund financially, as Kaiser said that he underestimated the amount of money he owed for the income taxes because his tax records were thrown out after he failed to pay the storage bill. A coalition of 60 women's group in Dade and sponsored a screening in August 7 of Florida candidates running for Congress, state and county officials at the downtown campus of
78 degrees. Look at that dew point.
Miami-Dade and County Community College. Women's Committee wanted to ask both Republicans and Democratic candidates the views of issues that interest women. The screening is from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. in room 2101. Candidates vying for the a seat on the Florida cabinet. The state legislature, the ministerial commission, and the Dade County School Board will take part of a screening as well as gubernatorial candidates. The committee will not endorse any candidates.
Refreshing air moved in, the dew points dropped off into the mid-50s, and we get to enjoy a very comfortable day that's going on.
And
Here's what's happening right now. Now, there's a few
Washington Vice President George Bush told Palestinian representatives yesterday in Jerusalem that the United States will never meet with Palestinian liberal organization until it formally recently recognized the right of Israel to exist. Bush made his remarks at a spirited meeting with 18 Palestinian civil and West Bank representatives in Jordanian parliament. The internal argued that Israel had a right to accept the Palestinian self-determination. Leaders of 5 political parties in a meeting yesterday agreed to end Italy's month-long political crisis and assembling a coalition under Bettino Craxi, a socialist prime minister. The party leaders agreed that the Craxi would remain prime minister until next March, and then withdraw in favor of Christian Democrat. Pope John Paul II prayed yesterday for an end to the blind violence situation in Lebanon, where 2 car bombs killed 57 people, wounded 3 others, and a telegram to Maryland Catholic Patriot the pontiff said he shared those silence to the families of those killed and wounded in the bombings in the Muslim West and Christian, and he survived with Monday. And yesterday, and around the world, opposition party members protested an alleged election fraud yesterday and endured 5-day blockade of a bridge linking to drives Mexico with El Paso, Texas. The Ukrainian newspaper provided. The Ukrainians said yesterday that and from informant chief engineer of the Chernobyl nuclear station had been asked by the Communist Party, and Hans Hassler, chief of Liechtenstein's criminal police in Belgium, said was fatally shot yesterday as he tried to arrest the rape, such an official said.
78 to 84 degrees. Now,
a Chilean judge indicted Juan Pablo Cardenas, said the opposition weekly magazine Monday on charges of offending President Augusto Pinochet. Judge Lino Brown ordered publication of an suspended for 5 weeks. Police seized this week's edition, in which it's already in the stands. Representatives of the magazine said, "I know effort to combat AIDS is getting underway in Houston, and the nation's first hospital established
Chipotle becoming the first
solely to research to treat the deadly disease. Officials, American International, Incorporated, American Medical International Company,
spicy shredded organic tofu dish.
Texas system kept 2 years of negotiations yesterday by Senate working an agreement to create a hospital to be known by the Institute of Immunological Disorders. A 150-bed Citizens General Hospital is being converted from a general care hospital to a research and treatment center. Doctors at the Kaiser Permanent Hospital in Santa Clara, California, plan to deliver the 32-week-old fetus to a brain dead woman by cesarean section today. Jack Poole lost his fiancée Marie Odette Fenderson 34 to a brain tumor, but parents in court finally reached a settlement to keep Henderson hooked to a life-sustaining machine until fetus could be delivered. The delivery came 7.5 weeks after Henderson was declared brain dead. Chicago City Council members voted the passage of a homosexual rights ordinance would be punished at the polls and introduced council elections. A gay rights advocate said.
But the new Prince of Cambridge?
The City Council rejected the measure of a 30-18 vote yesterday after a strong opposition from the Roman Catholic Church. The ordinance would be barred discrimination in employment, housing, and civil rights on the basis of sexual orientation. The existing city code prohibits discrimination on the basis of race and color and religion.
Pleased as punch with his wonderful first grandchild.
Members of a Senate Judiciary Committee moved quickly yesterday to draw the lines of the article engagement, and they began hearings on the nomination of William Rehnquist to the Chief Justice of the United States. As Rehnquist listened, Republican Senate leader, Democratic Senator Dennis DeConcini of Arizona, and former Attorney General Griffin Bell had praised on President Reagan's trust, but Senator Edward Kennedy, Democrat of Massachusetts, assailed Rehnquist for what he called a upon record race and seemed was too extreme to be Chief Justice. After a 3-month experiment, the Senate yesterday voted 78-21 to permit TV coverage of its precincts on a permanent basis. The Senate thus joins the House, which has allowed TV coverage since 1989. Senator Charles McFarland Jr., chairman of the committee that monitored the experiment, and favorable comments that come from all over America.
I've never met anyone as brave.
From people who have visited the Senate in a very real way to sit in their living rooms. The Senate and House telecast appears on the cable TV Public Affairs Network C-SPAN. Reagan, White House said yesterday that President Reagan will be undecided whether to support the Republican-backed Senate bill to allow the sale of the subsidized American grains in the Soviet Union. One administration official said the question was very difficult in the White House to resolve this election year before it pitted. Opposition side of the argument, the Senate Majority Leader Robert Dole, who says that the subsidies are desperately needed in a hard-pressed farm belt. And Secretary of State George Shultz urges Reagan to stand firm against subsidized Soviet grain imports from his country. President Reagan expressed some fresh optimism about arms control toxicity, responding constructively to the latest proposal of Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev. And now the balls in the Soviet court. In a speech yesterday, Reagan said negotiations to curb the superpowers' nuclear arsenals will be long over this process. He said, for the first time, we are not only pointed in the right direction toward reduction and eventually elimination of nuclear weapons, we have been on the move both sides down the road. Around Washington, Charles Litsky, a former Roman Catholic chaplain in Vietnam, was awarded to the nation's highest military honor. Says the UFC announced in the medal can be saved lives in a unique rocket that it is Vietnam all over again.
Brother, my diamond holds all my favorite cars.
The Medal of Honor winner has left his medal and an explanation on protest at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial yesterday. A federal report released yesterday on an airline crash that killed singer Rick Nelson and 6 other senators on a faulty cabin heater and involves the mentioned early speculation that freebase and cocaine may have caused the blaze. Florida agricultural officials said the southeastern drought may have been a difficult winter for panhandle ranchers and already has depended all donated aid to keep their cattle alive. State Agricultural Commissioner Doyle Connor has estimated that 50% of North Florida pasture land was critically damaged by the summer's intense heat and drought. The court decision is needed to settle a 13-year-old dispute over a sewage treatment agreement on St. George Island, a Gulf Coast Barrier Island, said Dr. Elton Gisander, head of the State Department of Natural Resources, 1973 pact between the state and developer. Leisure properties and limited and with regard to build a treatment plant because the cabin was forgotten only received on a fund and old flies. Homes that have been built on an island with 7 tanks. Gisander has recommended that construction homes that halt until adjustments to treatment is provided. Sports short with choice regret. Take away Tony. Okay. Dolphins go to limp and backspring as 2 original USFL members ponder old times. And new revenge designed bold but unnecessary. Simon Rod in training camp at the Pittsburgh Steelers at Scuttle.
A bitter taste of reality today for 2 stars of reality.
Okay. Now on the weather now. Here now is Bob Weaver. Take away Bob. Alright. Thank you. Thank you. Bob and Tony. Right now current conditions at 5:55 p.m. Wards 9 with Miami Airport 91 out in Kendall 92 out in Homestead 89 and
On a federal fraud indictment.
Key West and in Fort Lauderdale 90 and West Palm Beach 84 out in Titusville and in
For a pretty long time.
It was
Melbourne 89 in Daytona Beach 96 out in Jacksonville and 89 out in Naples 90 in Fort Myers 82 in Sarasota 84 in Tampa 88 out in Orlando 91 in Gainesville 100 in Chelsea 91 in Panama City and 94 in Pensacola.
But today she was stoic, saying only yes when the judge asked.
Word of around the nation today. Charles Essentials Kurt from New England to New York State and eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey and Odie up in Mississippi Valley.
Mortgages. She's also accused of hiding.
And the Northwest Great Lakes scattered thunderstorms extend from the Southern Atlantic coast to the Central Gulf Coast region.
We have enough evidence to convict the defense beyond a reasonable doubt.
With a good chance of thunderstorms over the Florida Peninsula. Winds will be brisk over Montana. Most of the nation have high temperatures in 80s and 90s. Highs in the 70s will extend from western Pennsylvania and much of New York State to New England with 60s over the northern Maine. Winds will be